stories do you tell yourselves? What stories do you tell yourselves that cause limitations in your life? What limiting self-beliefs do you have? See, what if I told you that you could change your past? What if I told you that you had the ability to go back in time and change your past, ultimately altering your present? See, here's how that works. Our beliefs and expectations are born out of experiences. Many of those experiences we've carried throughout most of our lives, or many of those beliefs that we've carried throughout our lives. Many of those beliefs go all the way back to childhood. Now, I'm not going to put you on a couch, and I'm not going to be your shrink, but what I will challenge you to do is this. Look at some of your core beliefs. Look at some of your core rules in life, the ones that are not necessarily as favorable as others, right? It could be some sort of self-judgment, for example. Take a look at that and see if you can work backwards to find the core. Here, I'll give you an example. One of the things that I struggled with for a long time was relationships. Having just having the attention that I wanted in a relationship, having the engagement that I wanted in a relationship. And so, long story short, it boils back to relationship with my mom. And so while I have an amazing relationship with my mother and I love her dearly, there was a point in time in growing up that my parents were tasked with raising my 4 cousins. And so they came to live with us, and my parents went from 3 kids to 7 kids. Let me give that back to you. My parents went from raising 3 kids to raising 7 kids. Now all of a sudden, I went from being the oldest to being stuck in the middle. Actually getting just lost in the middle, right? And so, as I grew older, there was a little bit of resentment that got built up. There was a little bit of pain that went along with it. And so, when I started looking at my relationship with women, I would find that what I was looking for was that thing that was missing. That need to not be number 1, not be number 2, 3, or 4. That need to be number 1. That need to be center of attention. And that really affected some relationships that I had, because if I didn't get that, then I would feel like I wasn't getting what I needed out of that relationship. And in turn, it would cause me to do things. It would cause me to say things. It would cause me to act in certain ways, right? And so that was a limiting belief, because I look back, and while, I have the most amazing relationship today with my wife, there was a time when maybe I wasn't so fair to other people. There was a time when maybe my own limitations kept relationships from expanding. So, that's a good example, right? That is a good example of, until I was able to go back and let go of that, go back, revisit my past and change my past, because my lens said that my mom didn't love me as much as she did prior to the other 4 kids coming into our household. My mind said that, I wasn't getting attention, so I wasn't loved, I wasn't worthy, right? And in turn, if I go back and look at it now, what I got out of that was, number 1, my mom was just doing the best as she could. So I look right now, we have a 6-year-old. If for whatever reason I was supposed, I was to take in, my nieces and nephews, I'd want them to feel as loved as they would have been at home, right? So I'd want to share that love. It would be a tough act, right? A tough balancing act, but I'd want to make sure that everyone felt love, and someone, somewhere, you can't please everyone, right? But the thing as a parent, I would have to be conscious of, what was going on. Here's the thing. My parents just did the best that they could. My mom did the best that she could, and what I realized is exactly that. So instead of going back to that time and having resentment and hurt and pain and all of that, here's what I get out of it now. I've learned to love unconditionally. I've learned to love without judgment. I've learned to not judge people in situations. I've learned to give and give and give. So, you know, prior to going back and revisiting that, I had some negative experiences and connotations with that experience, right? Now going back and looking at it, I found the gold and the nuggets that make that a very positive experience for me. So that was just a small example. You have the ability to change your past by changing the view that you have, or changing the lens that you look through. Here's the thing. The color on the walls will not change, right? The people in the place may not change, but guess what? The dynamic of the conversation and what you take away from that will change now that you are empowered to go back and make that change.